So we are talking about case study 8.1. Um, it talks about diverticulitis, which is a swelling or inflammation of one or more of the diverticula, and it stems originally from diverticulosis, which is an abnormal herniation along the GI tract. Some of Martin's risk factors that increase the risk of constipation would be the antibiotics that he's on. After looking through the antibiotics, atenolol, Pepcid, Vocur, and Gaviscon all cause some type of constipation or stomach issues, such as stomach pains, diarrhea, as well as loss of appetite. After looking at his diet, it would also seem that he does have a pretty low fiber intake as well as a low activity level. Some of the dietary recommendations I would recommend to reduce the likelihood of constipation would be an increase in his water intake. After looking at most of his diet, it seems that he's drinking a lot more coffee, a lot more apple juice, which is completely fine, but adding more water into his diet will help, as well as a combination of soluble and insoluble fibers. Examples of soluble fiber would be beans, oat products, fruits and vegetables. Insoluble fiber would be things like wheat bran or plant foods. So just overall more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. For his diet, however, while he's on antibiotics, I would say a low fiber or even possibly a liquid diet. After doing research, I found that usually to treat diverticulitis, they'll give amoxicillin as the antibiotic, and this is recommended for low fiber and possibly liquid diet because it would put less strain on the large intestine while it's still inflamed. Next, we have what management strategies could be used for Martin and other older adults suffering from constipation, diverticulosis/diverticulitis. I would recommend exercise and an increased water intake. Even just about 30 minutes of exercise each day can help with the movement of digestion in the body, as well as water intake. Food cannot be properly digested if you're not getting the amount of water that you need. And then this was the big one, which was given Martin's living situation and the fact that he does not cook, what specific foods might you recommend that he include in his long-term diet for breakfast and when dining out at his usual restaurant? So, starting off with breakfast, I said definitely a change in the type of cereal, swaps of white bread to whole grain, more fiber dense vegetables, and an increase again in the water intake. So, he can switch his Rice Krispies over to something like a bran cereal and add a cup of water in with his morning juice and coffee as well. He could do an instant oatmeal breakfast, which would be a really good source of soluble fiber. And instant oatmeal is very easy to cook, and in most places, they usually do have instant oatmeal, so that would be pretty easily accessible. He could switch his bread to a whole wheat bread with butter instead of just a white roll. This will help with the whole grains. And then for his lunch, he can opt for a whole grain pasta at his favorite restaurant. And instead of zucchini, he could go for a more fiber rich vegetable. So something like a broccoli, spinach, asparagus, or squash. And overall, I think he should decrease his intake of white bread. So the rolls, the breadsticks at dinner, and increase his intake of whole grains, especially because this is going to help to aid in the constipation as well as it will overall improve his digestion. And there is my works cited. I use the book, and